Good evening, everybody. It is the Newfane Selectboard meeting starting at 6 p.m. on January 3rd, 2018, which means that the Select Board wishes everybody a very happy New Year and all the best to all our residents and everyone else around here who is watching. We hope you are safe and warm in this bitter cold winter, and we'll get warm soon, hopefully. So, I am calling the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And the first thing on the agenda is additions or amendments to agenda. Does anybody have an addition or an amendment to the agenda? Okay, I do. The Select Board received a summons regarding land dispute, and we will need to go into executive session. That will be towards the end of the meeting tonight. So that's it. So is there a motion to accept the agenda?
I make a motion to accept it.
Okay, a second, please.
Second.
Second? Okay. Okay. The agenda has been accepted, and the addition has been accepted. The minutes is the next.
All those in favor?
Oh, all those in favor? Excuse me.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay. Anybody opposed? Nays? No, the ayes have it, and the amendments to the agenda passes. Next thing on the agenda is minutes. And the first report is the minutes of the December 18th, 2017 regular meeting. Is there anybody who has a question or an opposition, or can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, is there any discussion on the minutes?
I will need to abstain, having missed that meeting.
Okay, so any other discussion? So for all those in favor of accepting the December 8th meeting, please say aye.
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 Okay, we have 2 ayes, actually 3, and 1 abstention. Okay. The next item on the agenda under minutes is the December 20th, 2017 budget meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of that meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Is there anybody seconding?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I will need to abstain, having missed that meeting.
Okay. So if there's no discussion, if you accept the minutes, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, 3 ayes, and we have 1 abstention. Okay, so that's dealt with. The next item on the agenda is road business. And we have the road foreman and road commissioner's report. Jay Wilson, would you like to read it, please?
The storm over the Christmas holiday kept us busy, and we juggled people around so that they got to see at least a little Christmas with their families. We've been taking advantage of the cold weather to do some cleaning in the garage, and we've put some shelving up. On the days that are warmed a little bit from the ice storm, we had a lot of hanging branches. We've been trying to get around and cut some of those off, and so the trucks don't hit them. The storm from October 30th were all completed on schedule, all the repairs, and we've returned the extra concrete barriers back to Washburn, and we returned all the signs to V-Trans that they loaned us to mark all those spots. We've been doing a little vehicle maintenance between storms, and everything's ready for tomorrow's storm. And I purchased 12 new traffic cones for the fire department because we borrowed theirs for marking all the spots we had. We didn't have enough cones, and they were pretty well ruined, so we replaced them for them.
Okay, thank you. Is there any Any motion to accept the road commissioner's report?
So move.
Okay, do we have a second? Anybody
I
second?
have to abstain.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Does anybody have a discussion? Jay, I'd like to say thank you to you and the guys for all the work you do, particularly on the holidays. You really do sacrifice being at home with your own families. And I must say, it is very wonderful for the people in the town when we see the trucks and the snowplows go through. And once again, everybody is very appreciative of this road crew. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so if you accept the road commissioner report, please say aye.
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 If there's
I
anyone
abstain.
against it?
I
or
abstain.
You abstain, okay. Did we second it? Okay, so we have 3 ayes and 1 abstinence, okay? Okay, next on the agenda is the administrative assistance report, and that will be Shannon Meckel reporting.
On the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, all of the sites were visited. I've provided all the requested information to USDA. They anticipate a decision within the next week or so as to whether the sites are eligible. So I'll just keep you updated. Green Lantern Solar for the landfill site. The application for certificate of public good was submitted on the 22nd of December by Green Lantern to the state. And so we should be receiving a copy of the filing once the state gets it. For the tree cutting on Dover Road, the resident that requested that we cut the tree down, I submitted all the information to the tree warden. So he will go out, he'll look into it, measure it, and determine, whether it should be cut down.
Thank you.
I've started drafting the town report, and most of my time will be focused on that until it's due at the printer, which is February 5th. So if you see me looking kind of crazy over there, just throw chocolate and back away and it'll be okay. The holiday overtime question, there seems to be some confusion on how the highway crew gets paid for overtime on holidays. Regular holidays seem to be very clear, but Christmas and Thanksgiving are clearly separated in the personnel policy to indicate that they should be compensated differently than other holidays. Prior select boards have tried to clarify it, but it still is not clear. So I attached the page of the personnel policy that I'm talking about, as well as some of the former board minutes where they tried to figure it out. But as the highway crew was required to work Christmas this past year, it would be great if we could just get that figured out as soon as possible so that they can get compensated appropriately. So I guess what I would recommend is that the board decide what this board wants to see for compensation, and then clearly state it in a motion so that they can get paid, and then I can work on revising the personnel policy in a more clear fashion going forward. So I guess I would spend less time working on trying to figure out what they meant and figure out what you as a board think it should be.
So the first thing right now is to make a motion to accept your report, and then we can make it, okay. So is anybody who will state a motion to accept the report?
I will.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Thank you. Now, is there any discussion on what Shannon just reported on with the holiday overtime?
What has been the experience in the past, Shannon, that you were referring to?
I'm sorry.
Can you say that again, Gary, please?
What has been the interpretation or experience in the past that you referred to?
What is the experience or?
It's been different. Every time it's been visited, the board has interpreted it differently. Because it's so unclear in the personnel policy, every board that this has happened to has had to make a decision, and it's been different every time. So, some people have said 8 hours holiday, 8 hours regular, plus time and a half for the hours that they were there. Other boards have interpreted it differently. So, I guess you can't really go by what prior boards have done because it's been different every time they interpret it.
Well, this is the personnel policy that we're looking at right now. And the way that it reads, it says plus 1.5 times.
Right.
So you get paid for the regular workday and plus 1.5 times the regular hourly rate for each hour worked.
Right. Plus, above that, it says 8 hours holiday. So does that negate the 8 hours or not?
No, it's a holiday, so you get
Right, so
regular
you get
8
8
hours.
plus 8 plus
Plus
1.5
time
or
and a
whatever
half.
you were there.
Yeah,
That's
plus
how
1.5.
I read it.
Yeah,
But
that's what I
other
read
boards
it.
have read it differently, so,
And that would result in essentially a holiday where the crew is called in and it would be double time pay.
yeah.
Yeah.
sort of,
And that-
unless they weren't there 8 hours, then
Right.
no, it wouldn't be.
Right, that's typical practice.
So, if
Is
you
there-
said it very clearly, so if you
Yeah.
think it should be
Would
8
you-
and 8 plus time and a half for time worked,
Yeah.
that's
Would you be willing to make a motion for how we should deal with this?
how it could be very clearly.
Well,
Which one are you pointing to?
I'm
Mary?
pointing to Shelley.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying that it should be, they should be paid for regular workday. If they're working on that holiday.
Right, this is only if they're required to work. If they're not,
Right.
it's just 8 holidays.
And it states that, who is required to work on Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day, no matter when they fall, shall be paid for a regular work day plus 1.5 times the regular hourly rate for each hour worked.
Right. Plus, above that, it says 8 hours holiday pay. So,
Any full-time employee who is required to work on a legal holiday shall be paid at a rate of 1.5 times the regular hourly rate for each hour worked. So it's redundant, actually.
right,
It is.
so that's why it's confusing, is because they broke it
Yeah.
out specifically to make it different, and yet the way they wrote it looks.
I think
the
I would
same.
make a motion to take that paragraph out of the handbook.
And make Christmas not different.
It's a holiday. No, it's
So the whole point of doing it that way was that Christmas and Thanksgiving are very important holidays.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be, because they're leaving their families on Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Right.
it was broken out specifically differently so that they would be compensated more
Yeah.
on those 2 holidays.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
the way it is
Yeah.
written
Right.
is so confusing that it almost looks like it's the same, but it shouldn't be. Which is why prior boards have said 8 hours holiday, 8 hours regular, plus time and a half for whatever hours they were there, whether it be 3 hours or 6 hours or.
So it
So,
would be 8 hours holiday, 8 hours regular pay, and then 1.5 times
times for whatever hours they
for
were
how many
there.
hours.
But that's just, I mean, it's really up to you guys.
That's a lot.
That's
is a
a lot. I'm thinking standard practice is typically
Double time.
that if you were required to work on a legal holiday, the rate is two times your regular pay. Because you get 1.5 times your regular pay for regular overtime. And this crew is on overtime quite a bit. Is that not correct?
No, not really. Depends on the winter, I guess.
Yes.
What do you think, Chris?
You've got me confused. I understand, but I don't completely understand.
It's confusing.
I thought, this is just recollection from times before, that you got paid on Christmas and Thanksgiving if you had to work for your 8 hours, and double time for the rest, for the additional.
Yeah, like a
plus
double
the 8
time.
hours.
Plus your 8 hours, your
Right.
regular time.
Yeah.
So that's 3 times the rate, isn't it?
That would be triple time pay.
Yep. That's the way it had
8
been
hours.
previous years.
And if you're segregating out Thanksgiving and Christmas, I guess that would be correct.
So it's, because of the way we have to break it out in the system, that's, I think, why they said holiday, because in the system, by the accounting way, they get paid from different line items. So that's why we, as the people who pay them, have to know if it's holiday, regular, or overtime.
Mhm.
So that's why it has to be so
Oh,
clear
yeah.
how you want it, because we need to know how to put it in the system.
I mean, if a person is working on a holiday and they've already put in, they're on overtime.
Right, so on a regular old holiday, let's just say, I don't know, President's Day, they get 8 hours holiday pay anyway. If they get called in for 6 hours, that 6 hours is at time and a half. So that's how regular holidays work. So it's 8 plus time and a half for whatever hours.
So that's 2.5
But you're adding
times.
another
Right.
8 hours.
That's 2.5 times.
Yes,
So
but
then-
only during those hours.
Right.
Not for the whole 8 hours.
So then for Thanksgiving, Christmas, it would be triple time.
Right, so
Why don't we just say it like that?
8 plus double time and a half?
It's triple, right?
Well, we
I
can't,
would
we
get
have to
rid of
break
the
it.
8 hours, and I would make it a straight line.
Yeah.
So many hours, or so many times their pay rate for any hours worked on those holidays.
Right.
So you
plus
wouldn't
the
have,
8
you wouldn't get
holiday.
confused with 8 hours plus, then 1.5 on top of that, plus another 8-hour holiday pay. It'd be, if you are required to work on a legal holiday of those that we define, then your pay rate would be 3 times or 2 times its normal rate.
Right, for the hours worked, but there's still, we still have to break out that 8 hours holiday. That's,
Okay.
So it's
so
8
no matter what,
hours.
it has to be at
They
straight
get
8.
they get
8 hours
they get-
holiday,
Yep,
They get straight pay, they
For
get
8 hours.
holiday pay,
Yep.
and then they get
time and a half.
no
No.
another pay rate, the same pay rate for the being out on Thanksgiving or Christmas.
okay, so the way it would look in the accounting system is 8 holiday plus double time and a half for the hours worked.
No, just double time.
Just double
Not-
time.
Not double time and a half,
Okay, so 8 holiday and double time. Yes?
right?
Yes?
Double time or the hours worked.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anybody who would like to make a motion?
Holiday
Please,
8 plus double time
go ahead. You're good.
for
I'll
hours
make a
worked.
motion.
Okay, you make a motion.
What is? Read down what we
Okay.
said.
So if they're required to work on Christmas, it's 8 hours holiday pay plus double time for hours worked.
Okay.
I'll make a
What
motion.
if they only are called in for 4 hours?
Then it's
What
double
if they're
time
only
for
called
4
in
hours.
2 hours?
Then it would be
I'll
double
make a
time for
motion
4 hours.
For that.
Okay, Christopher's got a motion. Actually, you still have a motion on the table to approve the report.
Oh, I thought we did.
No.
No? Okay.
To approve the administrative assistance
Yeah.
report?
Okay.
Okay,
Can
I'll
somebody
make
make a motion to please accept the administrative assistance report?
We've got the motion in the second, I just need the vote.
Okay. Everybody who is for approving the administrative assistance report, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Anybody against, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and the report is accepted and approved.
And then Christopher made the motion.
Okay, Chris, you want to make a motion about the holiday time?
Yeah.
Holiday pay?
Read that out again,
Okay,
please.
yeah, no problem. And you want that Christmas and Thanksgiving, right?
Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Okay, so for Christmas and Thanksgiving, it would be 8 hours straight holiday pay plus double time for hours worked.
I make the motion.
Okay.
Okay, anybody second?
I second it.
Okay, let's vote on
Okay.
it. Any discussion?
No, yes. If an employee is called in for only 2 hours work,
Mhm.
are they still entitled to an 8 hours of holiday pay
Yeah.
if they only had to work 2 hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
If they
it's-
weren't working at all, they'd still get 8 hours holiday.
Yes,
They automatically
Okay.
get holiday.
Okay, so they get that whether they're in it working or not.
Correct.
Okay. Then if they are in for work, then it's, the motion is for that to be double time pay?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
For the hours
And that
worked.
would be, there should be a minimum paid for the double time pay. What
Well,
I mean
it's a
is,
minimum
if
2
employees
hours.
called in for 2 hours, there should be a 4-hour minimum that they are paid for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, on any other time, it's 2 hours, but if they want to make it 4 hours, it's,
I think it should be 4 if they're having to come in on a holiday. That seems only fair to me.
okay. You want to add that to your motion?
Yes.
What others think.
Okay.
And then find motion to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody second that motion?
So I have a question. So if they're working less than 4 hours, they still get 4 hours,
Right,
correct?
so,
Yeah.
yeah, any other like weekends or nights, if they get called in, even if it's half hour, it's a minimum of 2 hours.
2 hours they automatically
So
get.
for Christmas and Thanksgiving, it would be 4.
4, okay.
Is there any other
Sounds good.
discussion on this motion? You are so welcome. Okay, let's vote on this motion. All in favor of paying 8 hours of holiday pay plus double time. Minimum hours paid would be 4 hours. These are for Christmas and Thanksgiving days only.
For hours worked.
For
Yes.
hourly work, yes.
So it needs to be worded in such a way that if an employee is called in and works, they will be paid for a minimum of 4 hours
Yep,
Yes,
at two times their normal rate
yes,
on top of their holiday pay.
yes,
Yes.
got it.
That's clear.
okay. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it and the motion passes.
yeah,
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's much
Okay.
clearer.
The next item on tonight's agenda is unscheduled members of the public. And we're looking under tables and under chairs and in the cubbies, and we don't see anyone. Bye, Jay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Except we have one little person in an office, but he's related to somebody who's here, and so he's a scheduled member, he has to be here. Okay, so there are no unscheduled members of the public. Next item on the agenda is old business. And Shannon, this is very exciting. You're going to be reporting, the first item is recycling survey
Yes,
results. And that's a survey that was taken regarding recycling issues and what the residents of Newfane voted for.
yes. So we had an online survey. People could also print it and fill it out by hand and send it back in. Most people filled it out online. We got 63 online surveys filled out and 14 paper ones. So not a bad turnout. So what I did was print out, SurveyMonkey has kind of a cool thing where it gives you percentages of where the responses were.
Thanks.
And Gary, I did email this to you, but I don't know if you were
I
able
got
to.
it, yes.
You did, okay, great.
So I'm looking at the graph now.
Okay, and then there's a separate one, I had to tabulate the paper results myself because SurveyMonkey doesn't have those.
Okay.
So, of the online surveys, there were 5 choices, options that people could choose that they would, prefer. One was leave it the way it is. 2 was town supplied recycle bins coming back. 3 was to have a town funded transfer station. 4 was town-funded curbside pickup, and 5 was looking for someone to do a privately owned transfer station. And out of the online surveys, out of 63, 29 preferred to leave it the way it is. 19 preferred town-funded recycle bins. 3 were for a town transfer station. 7 for curbside pickup funded by the town, and 5 for privately owned transfer station. Out of the paper ones, 8 were for leaving it the way it is. 3 were for putting the town supplied recycle bins back. There were no choices for a town transfer station. 2 for town supplied curbside pickup, and 1 for a privately owned transfer station. And there was an option for comments. Most people said that the way they had it was working for them. There were some that said they would, it's working but not great. So that's that. They were due, the survey closed yesterday, so.
January 2nd.
Yeah, I guess that was yesterday. So.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for tabulating all of this and keeping records and reporting this tonight. Is there anybody who has a question, or should we make a motion to accept this?
I just wanted to make a point, if you combined both the online and the paper ones together, just so we have it in documentation, because I don't see it anywhere, that number 1, leave it the way it is, was 37 altogether.
Yeah, we could add them together.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, and then 2 town supplied recycle bins was 22, and town transfer station was 3 people. 4 was town supplied curbside pickup were 9 people, and privately owned transfer station was 6.
yeah.
So-
The reason I didn't do that was because I didn't want to mess up the percentages that it gave.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was not into trying to figure out percentages.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it that way
Right.
simply because I wanted to leave those percentages
So anyways, there's 37 people that say leave it the way it is.
out of the 70. It's almost
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 50%.
So the next step is to make a motion to accept this survey the way it
I
is,
would,
and
I would
to
make a
accept the
motion to
response.
accept the survey. Further, I would make a motion to, as part of that motion, to keep the system the way that it is for the next year and review it again during budget cycle next year, 2019.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that motion that Gary just made? So Gary, you're saying, I just want to repeat this. You're saying that right now we should accept the results as is for 1 more year, and then next year during budget season, we can have a survey sent out again. Is that correct?
We can, yes, we could well, I'm not necessarily saying to send out the survey, but we can revisit the subject next year during the budget
Revisit.
cycle.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Is that your motion, Gary?
that is my motion.
Okay. Is there a second to
I
that
seconded
motion?
it.
Okay, Chris seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, no discussion. May we have a vote? All in favor of accepting the results of this survey and living with the results of this survey for the next year until we revisit it again in next year's budget season? Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Say anybody who is opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and the motion passes. Thank you very much, Shannon,
Yes, thank you.
You're
for all the
welcome.
work.
Who's wrong? We got that off the table.
Yeah, I know, we feel lighter already. Okay, Shannon, the next item on old business is the land donation proposal.
Yes.
Okay.
So I sent the documents to the town attorney for his review and comment.
Excuse me for 1 second, can we just say aloud what we're talking about?
Oh,
today?
yes. So the town was approached by the Mayer Family Trust proposing to donate 224 acres of land to the town. So I forwarded all of the information to Rich Carroll, who's the town attorney, and he came back with his thoughts. And one thing he mentioned today on the phone that he did not put in the letter was that he would make any agreement subject to a title search, because he wants to make sure there's no other restrictions or covenants in other deeds that would be passed on to the town. So it's not in this letter, but it should be. So this came at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to scan it for Gary.
I'll listen attentively.
Okay, good. Do you want to read it, or?
Okay, do you want to read it?
Yeah, but, okay.
Okay, I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay. This is a letter to Shannon Meckel, Administrative Assistant, Town of Newfane, and it's emailed on January 3rd, 2018. Read, proposed land donation by the Mayer Family Irrevocable Trust, 224.2 acres on Sunset Lake Road. Dear Shannon, you asked me to provide my thoughts and concerns as to the possible donation of 224.2 acres of land on Sunset Lake Road by the Mayer Family Irrevocable Trust to the town of Newfane. As I understand it, the trust intends to donate the property either to the town of Newfane or to the state of Vermont. The trust would prefer to donate it to the town of Newfane because the state is not willing to protect the land from use by snowmobiles and other motorized vehicles. There were several questions and concerns raised in the information you provided to me, including the following. Number one, whether the town of Newfane would need a vote of the taxpayers in order to accept the gift of land. Number two, the impact of the current use status of the property and the potential obligations and liabilities that would pass to the town as the new owner of the property. And number three, potential ongoing risk/liability of the town if the maintenance and management trail system was provided by the Manitou project. I have the following comments. Number one, the select board would not need to have a town-wide vote as to whether to accept the gift. The board has the discretion as to whether to accept the gift. As a practical matter, the board may want to warn a discussion of the issue to take input from the taxpayers. Number two, I understand the property is presently in the current use program and has an approved forest management plan. Although the town cannot enroll its own land in the current use program because it does not pay town taxes, the question is what happens to the current use, quote, lien, when the property which is enrolled in the current use program gets conveyed to the town. Although there is no change tax due on the property which is enrolled in the current use plan when it comes out of the program until, quote, development, it is unclear whether the town would have to comply with the forest management plan if it took ownership. I have attempted to reach both Lori Hostetter and Elizabeth Hunt in the state current use office, but have not been able to discuss this with either of them yet. I would suggest if the board is inclined to consider accepting the gift of land, that it let the trust know that it wishes to do so, subject to satisfactory information from the current use office as to the current use implications after the town is its owner. Number three, with respect to possible liability and issues with having the Manitou project maintaining the land and trails system in exchange for allowing the Manitou project to offer certain programs. From the memo, it looks like there would be no definitive obligation on behalf of the town to use the Manitou project going forward. That could be a consideration for the select board if and when the town receives the land. It may be that the Manitou project is a 501c nonprofit, as it maintains liability insurance which would cover the town. Additionally, given that the parcel will be used for recreation such as hiking and non-motorized access, the risk to the town if it delegates trail maintenance as opposed to having it done by the current committee is fairly minimal. If the board is not inclined to use the Manitou project, it should make sure that the current town committee, which currently handles the town forest trail management, would be able to take on that responsibility for the additional acreage and trails. Lastly, I understand that the state of Vermont would like to accept the donation of the land in question, but it is not willing to protect the land from snowmobiles and other motorized vehicles. I do not know what the town's policy currently is with respect to use of snowmobiles and motorized vehicles in the town forest, and whether that it is a strong consideration as to the 224-acre parcel. Given that this parcel does not directly abut the town forest, does it matter significantly to the town as to whether the parcel would be owned by the town of the state of Vermont? Please let me know if the select board has any further questions. Sincerely, Richard C. Carroll, Esquire, and that's his letter.
He also said let him know if you want him to keep pursuing the current use question, because he was not able to reach any of the people from current use to get a real answer to that. So
Okay,
if you want him to keep pursuing that question, he will, but
okay.
he said to just let him know.
Personally, I don't know what the current use means
Okay.
and what the stipulations are involved with that. Does anyone here know?
It's
Should we
a,
make a motion though first to discuss this?
no, I think we
No,
can.
okay.
So it's a forest management plan that the state has, which gives landowners with land with, good forest product of tax break.
Oh,
So
okay.
the town isn't eligible for the tax break because we don't have taxes.
Right.
But we would be responsible for continuing the forest management plan.
Which is something separate from the current use.
It's the same, you have to have a forest management
Okay.
plan to be in current use.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So the town would still be on the hook for maintaining that plan for the next 5 years. But we don't know what that plan is and how
Right.
extensive it is. Also, there's a lien that exists on any current use property. And so the other question that Rich Carroll had was, would the town have to pay the lien if this changed hands?
And the lien meaning,
So there's a land lien. So if they were to sell before the forest management plan is
Oh.
up, there's a lien on the property.
by the state of Vermont.
Yes, and so
Okay.
his question is, would that be waived or not? And we don't have the answer to that question.
I think you need to, okay.
So can we make a motion about continuing research with Rich Carroll?
Sure.
Is there somebody who could make a motion about it?
I would almost make a motion to table the action until a meeting when we had all that information in front of us.
Right, but right now, Gary, we're just discussing if we want Rich Carroll to continue with the research.
Okay, I think we do.
Okay, so therefore, is somebody going to make a motion that we continue with the work with Rich Carroll, that he can research all the answers? Somebody make, Gary, you want to make a motion for that?
I did.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Is there any further discussion?
Now, we don't really know what the quotation from Rich is to continue the research, do we, Shannon? Did he give us a price yet?
No. No, we don't have a price.
Okay, so we need to understand that we're leaving this kind of open-ended, and it could end up costing us some money before that we find the answers to all these questions. Do we want to place a limit on that amount of money?
I would not have any idea of how much money to place a limit on because
I-
I don't know what he charges.
I would think about,
It's like $165 an hour,
yeah,
so.
I would think
Yeah.
like $1,500 to $3,000 he could easily spend.
Mhm.
I mean, unless he reaches the person and in 5 minutes they answer his questions, it could be that simple, or it could maybe not be. So
We can put an amount not to exceed.
Yes.
you could say not to exceed 3 hours time, and
Yeah, we could do it by hours.
Okay. Does anybody want, Gary, do you want to add that to the motion, that it wouldn't exceed 3 hours of research?
That would be fine. And if Rich comes back and says, I think it's going to take twice that much, then we can reconsider the motion at a
Yeah.
future meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second it.
right. Okay.
I
So,
think we want to show positive interest,
absolutely.
but, I don't think any of us know for sure whether that poke has a pig in it, or could it be a lizard?
Okay. All those in favor of accepting that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it and the motion passes that we will contact Rich Carroll to continue researching with the limit at this point of 3 hours, and then we can revisit. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. The next item on the agenda, which I just had a minute ago. Here it is. Okay, the next is Baker Brook Road issue. And I think we are tabling that till the next meeting. We are tabling that until the next meeting, and that next meeting will be January 17th. Okay.
So do you need a motion to that effect?
Okay, can anybody give us a state of motion of
I'll second
table?
it.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any abstentions or not accepting it? Okay, the motion passes and we will discuss this on January 17th. Okay, the next item is correspondence.
executive session, because we added an executive
Yes,
session.
and, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Before we go into correspondence, it was stated at the beginning of this meeting that the select board needs to go into executive session. And the reasons for this particular executive session states that when premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or a person involved at a substantial disadvantage, the public body may discuss pending or probable civil litigation or prosecution to which the public body is or may be a party. And that is under 1 VSA, section 313A1. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session.
A
I'll
second.
second that motion.
Okay. So we're going into, at 16 minutes till 7 o'clock, we are going into executive session. Thank you very much. Oh, we have to do it.
I'll
again.
make it as a separate motion. Motion to invite Shannon to the executive session.
All those in
Second.
favor, second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes to invite Shannon into the executive session. Thank you. We have completed our executive session. We're coming out at 6:51. And
Now we gotta reopen the meeting.
we're going to reopen the discussion, and we're going to say that
Somebody just make a motion.
please make a motion of what we want to do. Is there somebody who would like to make a motion?
Motion to reconvene the meeting at 6:51.
Yes.
Another
Anybody
motion.
second?
I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Another motion, please.
So now we need to make another motion, and I can say that motion.
Sure.
And the motion is that we had a conversation about a summons that was received by Select Board today regarding a land dispute, and the motion is that we will pass this information on to the town attorney, Rich Carroll. So is anybody who can second that motion, please?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second, any discussion? Okay, no
Move the
discussion.
question.
Excuse me?
Move the question. Or,
We're going to vote on it.
Require a vote.
Yes, we're going to vote on it. Okay, all in favor of accepting the motion of passing this along to Rich Carroll, town attorney, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it and the motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving right along to correspondence. Did you want to
That's-
say something?
I thought that was in pay orders.
No, it's correspondence.
It
We're
is?
just not going to read it word for word.
All right.
Okay. We have a letter from Todd Lawley, and he's requesting compensation for working with the grader that Jay Wilson asked him to do during the time that they were working on repairs from the flood. And so we need to discuss this. Is there a motion that somebody can make where we discuss this? The request, please.
I don't really know what it's about.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion that we can discuss the request
Okay. Shannon? Is that
for
correct?
pay.
I don't think you have to make a motion to discuss it. I think,
No?
I think
Okay.
Gary's looking for some background information.
Yeah.
So the background is that he had put in a timesheet for running the grader for a couple of days, and the board had thought it was part of him, doing some volunteer time, and Todd felt that it was not part of the volunteer time. And so he is requesting that he be compensated for it. That's it.
Did we ever get a definition of what the volunteer time that Todd was going to donate to the town?
We do not have
I got the
a
impression that
definition.
was going to be primarily office work.
We don't have a definition, but I
Okay.
think during the discussion that was understood.
Okay.
I make a
So this
motion.
is as a machine operator, and this is outside of, this would be, we would have had to have hired somebody to come in and do this work. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So Chris has a motion.
I make a motion to pay him.
Second?
Okay, all
What
in,
would you like to pay him per hour?
what would what would somebody have gotten paid if they had to hire somebody?
Well, he didn't give us the bill.
Well, he put in a timesheet, but he did not put an hourly rate. So it's up to
What's
the
the
board.
normal rate?
What is the regular rate?
Well, I mean, we have
Listen.
one part-time person who gets 15 an hour, although I don't know that he can run a grader.
Right, I mean, somebody who had the skills.
Somebody with grader skills. I don't know. I guess I would recommend, I don't know, what do you think, Chris, would 20 be?
Yeah.
20?
20.
Yeah,
Alright.
Okay. Okay.
How many hours are we talking about?
It was like, what, 3 half days or something? It wasn't,
Yeah. It's not a lot of hours.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all,
Yeah, I mean, he did it, helped us out.
absolutely. Okay, do we have a motion on the table?
yep. The
And
motion
second?
is to pay him for the hours worked at $20 per hour.
Okay. Anybody second that motion?
I
I'll
second
second
it.
it.
Okay, great. All in favor of accepting the motion, please say aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? No. The ayes have it, so the motion passes that Todd will get paid $20 an hour for the time that he did the work with the grader. Okay, thank you very much. So at this point, I think we are complete for the meeting. Is that correct? We'll be doing pay orders. So we will say goodnight to everybody. And please be careful in the winter right now until it gets a little warmer, hopefully next week. We wish
Okay.
everybody the best, good health and safety. Thank you very much. Good night.